Hey, so the brain is a fantastic thing because around the time of Christmas last year I had my usual dream of getting chased through the woods by a giant snail. Although this is highly unlikely since snails typically don't do anything, at least not particularly fast, this snail caught up with me. But instead of slurping me up, he just wanted to let me know that I was the sole winner of the IAPLC Aquascaping contest of 2025. I had to fly to Japan to meet the best of the best and stand on the podium to accept the award for the best aquarium in the world. Shame, it was just a dream. Now, either this means that I am completely crazy, or my subconsciousness is trying to tell me something. Namely that my chase for winning the IAPLC is getting a bit too chill. But this year, I'm letting go of my inner snail, and that's about to change. Barely anyway. Aquascaping is about putting nature in a glass box, but some would say it's just gardening for people without gardens, or a complete waste of both time and money. Lucky for me, I have plenty of both and absolutely no student loans to worry about. Also, being an adult means that I'm allowed to make irrational decisions about my life. But aquascaping is nothing like the goldfish bowl you kept as a kid. It's another level. It's beautiful and it's zen. And I think people could use a bit more zen in their lives. Now, I usually spend less time doing the zen stuff and more time stressing about doing water changes and drinking enough aquarium water to stay hydrated. So this year, to become more zen, I chose to record myself during the entire aquascaping process and spend weeks on editing and finally publishing this video of me chasing my dreams on YouTube for the whole world to see. Yeah, that's how zen I am. Anyway, my glass box measures 90 by 50 by 45 centimeters, which means that it holds roughly 200 liters of water. And in case you're not familiar with IAPLC, it's the largest competition for people with glass boxes in the world. And just as in my dream, the competition has one winner. And as I've understood it, the process to win looks roughly like this. It starts with an empty tank into which you will pour your savings, emotions, and potentially marriage. You will also fill the tank with an idea of what you want to create. Next follows the hardscaping period where the foundation of the aquascape is laid, and this can take up to several weeks. But since your family probably don't want to watch rocks in a box for weeks on end, you should proceed to the next step, which is planting. Now, next follows a weird period where you don't change much of the layout. You cut plants, hopefully your shrimp eats algae so that you don't have to, and you focus on finding all the mistakes you did in the previous steps. Then comes the competitive part, and you send in a photo of the glass box to IAPLC. Now, the photo needs to be quite professional, so you most likely need a girlfriend who can help you blow with a hairdryer on the water to create some nice waves. A jury will then compare your photo to everybody else's photos, and you get a world ranking. If your world ranking is number 1, you win. And if that happens, you get to go to Japan, stand on the podium in Takashi Yamano's honor, just as in my dream. Here follows my attempt at this process. Step 1. Create the hardscape. Before playing with rocks and twigs, I typically go to Pinterest for inspiration. And while scrolling through the never-ending feed, you get both mesmerized and depressed over what people have accomplished with their lives and how little you have. But sometimes I get so inspired that I need to make a sketch. And here's the sketch I made for this year. Lucky for me, I keep a much better version of the sketch in my brain, which will adapt throughout the process. But I also keep an even better version of the sketch in my drawer to compare to later when I'm done. I chose burnt wood this year, mostly to cover myself in soot and regret, but also because it looks badass next to plants pretending to be a forest. I placed a big branch overarching everything else to create a dramatic vista. I also added some grey Sirius stone to keep with the ashy burnt feel, and because I've spent years of salary building a collection of just that rock. Now the rocks will also help me glue down the wood with cigarette filters and superglue so that in theory it won't float. This creates some nasty fumes though, and I'm sure it could get really high on them, so I made sure to inhale most of it. Now, to strengthen the feeling of this being an ancient burnt down forest, I tilted the straight branches towards the center. Why? because I read somewhere that that would create just that feeling. I also spent ages adding a bunch of minuscule detail work that in the end you won't see in the final image because it was too dark. So yeah. After hardscaping, I add soil, which I will later plant in, and the soil consists of several layers. The base layer is aquatic compost. This will give the plant some long-term energy source. And on top of that, I add a nutrients layer from Tropica, which will give the plant some midterm energy. Finally, I add the actual aqua soil, which consists of 1 million milliliter sized clay balls with short-term nutrients. And usually I use ADA aqua soil, which is like the Rolls-Royce of soil, but this year I didn't feel like being completely ruined, so I tried something new and went with Tropica. This concludes the hardscaping, and we can now move on to Step 2. Planting. I bought a buttload of plants for this, and as usual I probably bought way too many species. Now I tried to film each plant like this to make a cool montage for you, but I haven't gone to film school, so I couldn't get it to work. Here's the only shot I got, and that's not even for this aquarium, that's for another build. But here's a list instead of the ones that I got, and you can read it while I'm prepping the plants here. Also see the list in the description. Now, many plants can be both a blessing and a curse. Too many and you've created a Jackson Pollock painting, not Zen. Too few and you're stuck with a boring canvas that can never be famous. But look at the sketch. We are not doing Iwagumi, so we are allowed to use many species and spend hours prepping for planting. Good job. I love planting, but there's one plant I hate to work with. Moss. In all the images of moss, you see these lush, tight as moss lawns, like taken straight out of a Studio Ghibli movie. But man, did I struggle with the moss. Moss don't want to be tight, moss want to be loose and carve its own way into the history books of your aquarium. And moss don't like glue. No matter how much glue, it will relentlessly fight for its freedom. So therefore, I used glue to attach the moss and forgot that I needed it for the other epiphytes as well. Now, if you still want moss, just use thread. Don't make the same mistake that I made. It won't work in the long run. Zen. But most other plants, however, they're just longing for you to roleplay as a surgeon, to take your pointy tweezers and poke them in the soil. Some plants are just easy going. Step 3. Observe and smile. Wood is not floating, rock is not moving, soil be chilling and plants, well, they be vibing. We observe the plants slowly sucking up CO2 and breathe out oxygen, put on some weight and grow tall. But then, like a shinobi in the dark, we cut them with our shiny blade. Never will they be allowed to touch the surface, and never will they be allowed to reach the light. We keep them neatly tucked and tidy. Step 4. Forget to make a water change and go on vacation. Wait, no, what? No, don't go. Okay then. Forget to make a water change and go on vacation. Step 5. Fight. After vacation you come back and plants, well, no longer vibing. They be struggling. nasty, icky, slimy. Algae, they knew you were on vacation. They knew you forgot water change. They were waiting in the dark for the perfect moment to emerge. And they got it. So, you fight. On all frontiers, toothbrush, sponge, boiling water, hose. They will rue the day when they thought to claim your glass box as their home. But even the strongest aquascaper needs friends, and since I don't have any, I went to the fish shop to buy some. These friends are the best, not only because you can keep them trapped in your home without getting charged for kidnapping, but also because they feed on your worst enemy. Now, while you're sleeping, they're eating. While you're at work providing, they're eating. While you're busy doom scrolling, they are eating. All so that you don't have to. Step 6. Betray your friends. While your new best friends were busy eating, you start to wonder, what lies beyond the relationship that you have? Like, is this it? Will this always be enough? What will happen when the algae runs out and you no longer have anything in common? And like a relationship turned cold, you start to betray your friends. You start to look to something much more exotic. And you forget about those who were fighting side by side with you. And finally, they leave you. You are friendless, alone again. But if your previous friends taught you anything, it's that friendship apparently can be bought at the fish store. So you buy new friends. Fishies. And just like that, months of looping between step 3, 4 and 5, but hopefully not 6. It's done. Behold, the result of chasing a dream. Now we can also compare the final result to the sketch I have in my drawer. And here I pat myself on the back. It looks exactly like the sketch. Step 7 to 36. Feed fishes, grow long hair to convince your friends that you need a hairdryer, buy an expensive camera, lend expensive lens from a friend, hide under a towel, snap the final picture, wait 3 months, and well, get hyped for the 30th of August. And like a birthday when you were 5, this is the day IAPLC will announce that you've won the IAPLC 2025 Aquascaping contest and get to live your dream. Quit your job, become a professional aquascaper, and go tell mom and dad everything was worth it. Oh, here it is. What? Rank 380? Oh, shit. Well, I won. Barely anyway.